much.
Bye.
We must proceed. And our next presentation the title of the presentation is also containing the words virtual reality. And virtual reality, a new way to enter a lab, will be presented to you by Dr. Christian Bressler. A couple of words about him. Dr. Bressler is the leading scientist at European XFEL, which translates as X-ray free electron laser facility, and also a professor of physics at the University of Hamburg, Germany. And he's been developing the field of ultra-fast X-ray science over the past 20 years. Dr. Bressler, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much for, good afternoon. Thank you very much for this kind introduction. I want to entertain you today with some side project we have been doing now. It started a few years ago out of chance and developed now into something we consider possibly useful for the future. So I want to show you a new lab that we developed virtually. And I will just give you a very brief overview of this big, large-scale facility, the European X-ray free electron laser facility. And you don't have to read through the agenda. I will just show you some screenshots of the software we developed and explain a little bit. Be very well received by students. I did click. Oh shit, oh gosh. Okay, so the goal that we have is also my research field, my own research field. We want to measure, complex chemical reactions of small molecules and liquids. And for this, we use advanced instrumentation to look into the small miniature world of molecules and electrons. And for this, we use X-rays from this free electron laser facility. And then we record all kinds of data. And a few years ago, we went into user operation, and you will see now an aerial photo of the facility, which is in the greater Hamburg area, where you start on the lower right from the DAISY campus, well-known DAISY campus for different light sources and also for high energy physics. We accelerate electrons through a tunnel all the way to the top left. And then there's this yellow maze of tunnels we have that's wind up in the experimental hall, size of a football field or a soccer field. And we will have one of them. I will show you one of the tunnels on the next slide. That is coming up. So you see a real photograph, and these are actually two intersecting tubes that you can see here, and it's very long. It's almost a kilometer long, this X-ray transport path. We already virtualized this, and you see on the lower part images from the VR lab, where we are inside the tunnel on the right or inside the experiment where we do our research. And this is the football field sized hall, and on the long side on the top we have 5 tunnels entering this football field, and you have these different colored let's call them houses inside, and one of them is the lab that we virtualized. We completely simulated with 3D Unity software. And this is how it looks like on Sketch. So you have all this complicated equipment, and all this has been virtualized into the software and functionalized so that we can actually do experiments with it. So this is a real photo of the lab looking downstream with where the X-rays come in through that big silver tube. And we can look now into the virtual world. This is roughly the same angle of view where you have the similar experiment coming in. And here you see it in action. This is a screenshot from the live software program where we can walk around and look at different colored balls flowing through. And now if this works, I will show you this briefly in action. Yes, so here's where I want to run the small video I recorded. But if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Ah, it works. Beautiful. So here you can see red and yellow, blue balls hitting a sample, which is a liquid jet. You don't really recognize it. And you see all kinds of X radiation floating outwards and going into the different detectors we have. And you can see on the left the noisy data we have that we record, because that depends on how you actually arranged your setup, your parameters and focus and did what we do. So this is another still image where you can see that we can record live data, and the live data is actually as much realistic as it can be towards the experiments we actually did there. And here's another still image where we have you can see these rainbow beams going upwards along the yellow line. And we can measure something, we call it a spectrum, and you have to align things. So you see on the left, the measurement that something seems to be coming in from the right. And if you do good alignment, then you can see the whole beauty of the measurement that you are doing. And you can download the data with the Save button, and students can then work with this, with these results and do interpretation and learn about how such a complex instrument works. So this is another example where you can also see the live view of different components, and you can zoom into every single one and take a look what's going on and understand how things function. And this is another complex, it's our lens, X-ray lens assembly. And you can also go inside and you can take a look at what's going on. And you see these down arrows, we put in some lenses in the beam, and you can see how the white circle spot size turned into a focus, which we are interested in. This is also something where we put in realistic physics, where you have on the left and on the right the same X-ray beam focused on a screen that we have. And on the left, it only saturates because it's way too intense. And on the right, you see with appropriate attenuation, you can see very razor sharp, pencil sharp beam that we can put on that screen. So with all these realistic things, we can also go into the control room where we actually do these experiments, and you can see the scientists on the left, and it looks ultra realistic and almost like it does in reality if you would be there for a visit. And so I come to the end. We started implementing this whole VR world for an advanced lab practical experiment for physics students at the University of Hamburg. And we just had a test run that went very well. And we are now preparing for short courses that we can deliver to bachelor, master, but also to PhD students and postdocs, but eventually also to established scientists to understand how these experiments go. And one can now envision to go to other experimental environments, neutron facilities, other X-ray facilities, maybe even to CERN and to accelerating facilities. Everything is possible now. I do not want to stop without thanking those who helped me along the line, which is Katarina Kubicek, Alexander Britz, Kai Evison, in my group. And then we got tremendous help from a spin-off group, a spin-off company from Rostov University, Univier Lab, and especially Sasha Guda was instrumental in realizing all the functionalities we have. We have, in one short word, a physically meaningful VR environment. and with the possibility to extend to a whole world of science. And in short, I would say we have a flight simulator for physicists now first established. And this would not have been possible without our funding agents from the Joachim Herz Stiftung and European XFEL. And with this, on time, I would stop and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bressler, so much for this presentation. Let's check if there are any questions from the audience. No, at the moment I don't see any. Yep, and we are also running out of time a little bit. So, Christian, thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got another quiz right now. There will be, again, a question and 4 possible answers. This time, only 1 out of 4 is the correct one, so let's start. The question goes like this. The word virtual, which has been mentioned several times and will be mentioned even more today, the word virtual, what is the origin of that word? Answer number A. It was invented by the English mathematician Charles Babbage. He referred to things existing but which are impossible to see. Answer B. It comes from medieval Latin, the word virtualis, meaning effective, or if we go back in the history, ancient Latin, virtus, which means possible or potential. Answer C. From Greek, virtiki, which means the net, or answer D. It's mentioned in the Bible, describing someone of very great value. So, origins of the word virtual. And the correct answer is the answer B, medieval Latin, virtualis, or ancient Latin, the word virtus, possible or potential. Thank you for participation, ladies and gentlemen.